Good morning. Welcome to the new year. I hope you have some goals you're working towards, or if not, that after this podcast, you might start thinking about some goals to work towards. This podcast I'm going to be focusing on today is being a warrior. And I remember, I don't know, 5 or 6, it's been several years ago, God told me, I remember exactly what I was doing, where I was, and it caught me totally by surprise. He just interrupted my thoughts and said, I told Moses to register the fighting men. And I was so excited, and I had no clue why. I knew it meant something, and it meant something to me, but I had no clue why. I didn't really know what it was in reference to. And I was like, where? I don't remember that scripture, so I had to look. But I knew that God told Moses, that God had Moses lead the nation of Israel and lead the military. So I got looking that up, and it probably should have been obvious to begin with. It was in Numbers, the very beginning of Numbers chapter 1. And so when I read it, I wasn't as near as excited as when God spoke it to me. But this is what it is. It says in Numbers 1, chapter 1, 1 through 4. The Lord spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting in the wilderness of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year after Israel's departure from the land of Egypt. Take a census of the entire Israelite community by their clans and their ancestral houses, counting the names of every male one by one. You and Aaron are to register those who are 20 years old or more by their military divisions, everyone who can serve in Israel's army. So that's the real way it happened. It's not as exciting as registering God telling me that Moses registered the fighting men. But what that meant to me was, and I believe means to us and to you, is, when God told this to Moses, if you've read the Bible, you understand that Israel was in slavery in Egypt, and they became a nation, and so they fought. So if you read any of Joshua so they're fighting all the time, they're doing all this. But up until this point, they had been slaves. So Moses never questioned this. He just did it. And I believe he knew something that God knew was that yes, they had been living in slavery, but there was more to them than they could even see. So he told them, register the fighting men. And so I just believe that is all of us, that there is more in us, that we can all fight for our destiny, that we are all warriors inside. Maybe, not like in the natural sense or whatever, like we'll go off to war, but that we can fight for our families, fight for our nation, fight for our destiny. Sorry, I needed some hot tea. And so that's what a warrior to me is that God is calling something out of you, calling the deep things out of you, the courage out of you, the strength out of you, that he knows there is more in you. Because up until this point, the Israelites had been slaves. They made brick. If you go back to Exodus chapter 1, they were making bricks. They were not, as we would understand, fighters, warriors. They were not trained in the military. So this comes to the Phoenix part, where they had to die. die, but their old way of thinking had to die, had to go away, and they had to adopt a new way of thinking. So their old thought process had to die, and so the Phoenix part, out of the ashes had to rise who God had called them to be. So that can be, and that can apply, I mean, in this situation, that's how that applies, but that can be any, you thought somebody was going to be in your life forever. You might have lost a job. There is more in you than you realize. You're an overcomer, and you can do it, even when things didn't go the way you thought they were going to go. There is more in you, and you can rise from defeat. You can rise to a higher thought process in your mind, and you can be who God called you to be. I remember God told me something that I have wrote down, and it's, warrior, keep walking. I know it doesn't seem like the prayers you've been praying have been answered, but everything you are going through right now has very little to do with where you are right now, but everything to do with your future. Keep fighting. Set your eyes on the future that God has for you. I know these last few years have been hard, but just remember, you're an overcomer. You are more than a conqueror, and this can be your best year yet. So arise and be all that you have dreamed.
Thanks for watching and listening. It would mean so much to me if you hit the like or subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, or like the Facebook page.